All right, just testing, make sure it's working. Looks like we're working. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Laura Click with Blue Kite Marketing, and I am so thrilled today to have Mark Schaefer here with me. And it's crazy, Mark. I think we've known each other almost 2 years. Can you believe?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
We're a Twitter success story.
That's right. If you don't know Mark, which I don't know how you cannot know Mark is, I guess your title, what do you call yourself? Executive Director, right, of Schaefer
Yes.
Marketing Solutions.
Yeah.
And your website is businessesgrow.com, and that's where your famous Grow blog is, and it's awesome. So welcome, say hello.
Thank you. It's funny. I'm going through this identity crisis right now because I have thought of myself just as you described me.
Yeah.
I'm a consultant. I'm a business consultant, and in September, for the first time, I actually got more revenue from teaching and from book contracts.
Yeah.
Than consulting.
Yeah.
And so I'm redefining myself. Over the holidays, I started introducing myself as an educator and an author.
Yeah.
Because that's really this whole idea of creating content. As I look back at my career, I'm spending so much of my time now creating, editing, reviewing, approving content.
Yeah.
And I've got 7 different revenue streams, all through different types of content. So it's really, it's interesting. I'm trying to get my head around, what am I now?
Mark Schaefer, author. That's the big one now, the new one.
What
author.
am I? What am I?
That's like the question of life. What is the meaning? What am I about?
Okay. I've written 2 books now. Is it pretentious to say, I'm an author?
Oh, I don't think so at all. Well, speaking of all this content, let's talk about, I think, to me, where it all begins is your blog. I mean, you've been blogging.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
So you've been blogging for what? How long? Is it 3 years?
Almost 3 years.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. How did that get started? Why blogging, and why do you love it so much?
Well, it started out as an experiment because I was beginning to consult and teach, and as you know, to really learn about how social media works, nobody can teach that to you.
Yeah.
You can't read about it and know how to do it. You've got to immerse yourself. Yeah. And no one can teach you the rhythm of tweeting. No one can teach you what your voice is on your blog.
Yep.
And how to connect to people. It's something that you just have to learn. There are no shortcuts. Mm-hmm. So when I started to blog, it was really just as a learning experience and kind of for fun. And then I just recently realized that in the month of January, I had as many page views in January as I had in the first year and a half of blogging.
Wow.
And I think I'm going to write a post about that because there is no quick solution to blogging.
Right.
I mean, it takes time. It takes patience. It takes consistency.
Right.
It takes your heart, really. And there are no shortcuts. So, I mean, I kind of built my blog one post at a time, one day at a time, and most importantly, one reader at a time. I never took my readers for granted. I just think it's such a gift that anybody would spend time reading my blog or commenting on my blog. It's really so humbling every day.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got into blogging. Really, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I didn't read Copy Blogger. I didn't read all these things. I just kind of did it. And in some ways that was an advantage because I didn't know what the rules were. Mm-hmm. I just became myself. I just was myself.
Right.
And wrote about what was interesting to me and my observations. And I was able to, I think, connect the dots maybe a little better than some other people because I've been in business for 30 years and I've worked with brands and Fortune 100 companies all over the world. And now I can kind of connect the dots between this traditional world and these brands and how these things really work in a company. You just can't go into your boss and say, well, we're starting a Twitter account, boss, because it's all about the conversation.
Yes.
I know that it would be, you'd get kicked
right.
out. If you were lucky, it would
Peace
be.
out.
If you were lucky, it would be a kick.
Yes.
So, I mean, I can relate to that. I mean, I've worked in companies. I've had a budget. I've had budget cuts, So I know what people are struggling with. And then you put that in context of the social world, and I think that's kind of where my niche is that, I've been there and I'm still there because I still work with a lot of big companies, and I can see their real life struggles.
Yeah.
And you got to get off this whole theoretical thing and really look, how do you put this stuff to work?
Right. So what do you think, what have you learned in 3 years? I mean, I know you said you didn't know what you were doing when you started, but now clearly you know what you're doing. So what's the special sauce? What worked for you, and what would you tell to someone just starting out? What do they need to do to be successful with a blog?
Yeah, I've learned a lot. I mean, I've really learned a lot, and that's what I love the most, because my blog community, it's like Christmas every day. I mean, the comments in the blog community are better than the original posts.
Well, not
so
always.
I mean, every day, every single day, and I learn something. Every blog post and every comment. But I would say the biggest mistake that I made starting out was I was trying to be other people. I was trying to, I came from this traditional marketing background. So I thought, okay, I need to identify my target audience, and I need to have my target messaging that I could reach this, and here is my content plan and how I'm going to dispense this content on a regular basis. And what happened was, first of all, my worldview was so small at that point. And the other thing is, I got bored because I was trying to fit content into this space to fill this need, this customer need that I imagined. And I think the lesson that I learned was, once I started to relax and be human, and to realize that the source of success is your originality, and that that is everybody's real competitive advantage, is to dig down deep, really deep, and say, what can I bring to the party? What is my unique set of experiences and education and perspective?
Right.
And everybody has stories
right.
that can add to this wonderful thing that's going on, and it's the courage to do that.
Yeah.
And so after about 6 months of writing crappy blog posts, I started to relax, and something amazing happened, Laura. Instead of me trying to find my target audience, my audience found me, because I found my authentic voice, and I just kind of had fun with it and wrote about things that I was interested in, instead of me trying to find these customers or whatever. All these people said, here is somebody I'm interested in. Here is somebody I can relate to. And that changed everything. That was the revelation that, hey, I can't try to be like Chris Brogan. I can't try to be like Jay Baer or Laura Click. I've got to be my only person, my own true self. But the exciting thing is, Laura, is that anybody can have that voice.
Right.
Anybody can capture that. But once you get past that mental hurdle of, I need to be a blogger, and just say, I'm just going to be myself and make observations and tell my stories, that is the big change.
Right.
That's the big that's the big revelation that changes everything for a blogger, I think.
Well, I think you hit on something too. You have to be willing to, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but you have to be willing to piss people off too. I mean, I think you're not going to appeal to everybody, and I think that's okay. And I think so many people are afraid of that. They're afraid that what if someone doesn't like me? And you have to realize that some people like chocolate, some like vanilla, some like strawberry. I mean, they're different people and different flavors for a reason, and people are attracted to the kind that they like, and if everyone doesn't like you, that's okay. So
yeah.
That's a hard thing.
Well, I think it's a delicate balance, and sometimes I don't achieve that in both ways. I mean, I think I want to, everybody says you need to be authentic. I don't agree. I think authentic means being transparent, and I don't think people want you to be transparent. Mm-hmm. I don't think people want to see this video between you and me with my bedhead.
Yeah, in our pajamas, and our.
I mean, come on, I mean, they don't need to know about your runny nose and your smelly feet.
Right.
They just don't. But I think what the expectation is, the real expectation, and I think this is fair, is honesty. Mm-hmm. And so I think the challenge is to be honest in a caring way, mm-hmm. In a nurturing way, in a professional way. Some people have built their reputation by pissing everybody off, and there's a certain element. I mean, that's the way the world works. There are some people that relish that. I mean, mm-hmm. that's not my style, and I don't think really in the long term that's the way to build a community or be successful. And I think there is a way that you can be honest in a way that you can attack issues and attack problems without attacking people.
Right.
And I mean, some it is a balance. It's very difficult because I do want to be honest. And, sometimes maybe I'll have a day where I'm a little irritable, and maybe it does come across. You can't tell my tone.
Yeah.
You might not necessarily appreciate my sense of humor. Mm-hmm. And so maybe it goes too far one way. Other times, I challenge myself, do I have the courage to really say these things mm-hmm. that need to be said? I mean, I'm struggling with some things right now that I'll kind of see something going on in the web. I'll see some sort of trend, and I'll kind of let it go. But then it kind of builds critical mass, and I'll just say, "Oh my gosh, I've got to say something." Yeah. This is just. And here's my concern, and this is my true heart on these issues, is that when I see things going out there that start to become truth, that is going to influence especially young people or young professionals who are listening to these thought leaders. And a lot of these thought leaders, by the way, don't have a lot of business experience. Mm-hmm. They've never worked in a company. They've never had a marketing job. Right. They've never had P&L responsibility. They've never managed a budget or employees. And yet they're pontificating and creating the rules of the social web. That's the point where I think I need to step in and say, hey, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. You're just out of touch. Mm-hmm. And so, I got to have that balance, to have the courage to take on these issues and not create, not do it in a way that people are going to say, oh, this is just link bait.
Right.
I hate that. And I hate that word. Look, my blog is fine. I don't even know what link bait is. I mean, if people read it, they read it. If they don't read it, whatever.
Right.
I just write whatever's interesting to me and what's going on. But, I do want to be, I want to lift people up. I mean, that's really what my blog is about. I want to celebrate people. I want to enlighten people and have fun and good interesting discussion. I don't want to destroy. I don't want to bring people down, but I do want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's difficult striking that balance.
Yeah. And I think that, it's hard, especially you're a person, but I think that kind of idea is harder when you're talking about it from a company perspective. I think businesses are so used to communicating in a robotic way. It's like, these are our messages. We don't talk. It's like all this mumbo jumbo that it's corporate speak. No one relates to it. It's like the idea of selling, and people just kind of want to put their hands on their ears and go la 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 la. I don't want any part of it.
And really, when you work with a company and talk to them about their blog, you say, well, you got to be honest, and then they're going to say, no way.
Right.
And maybe that's appropriate.
Right.
You have to look at things in the political context.
Right. So, like, for a business, and you had a interesting blog post a few days back about some research that was done, and maybe blogs are on the decline, though it seems like that could be negligible depending on the data. But it's still, the discussion was really interesting about, should businesses blog? Why or why not? And who should do it? So who do you think should have a blog? Clearly it's not for everybody. So who should do it?
Well, the thing that I start out in every class that I teach or every client that I work with is we start the conversation with strategy. If you don't know what your competitive advantage is, what your core competency is, if you don't know how you are serving your customers' underserved or unmet needs, then this is a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
It is a waste of time. It's like shooting buckshot into the air and hoping something that will hit.
Yeah.
And if they want to do it and pay me money to help them, all right. But every single day I focus on strategy, on research, and even, you've helped me with some of my customers with just fundamental research,
mm-hmm.
understanding what are the customers saying, what do they like, what do they don't like, where are they getting their information.
Right.
So you need to know that.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know that, it's liberating
mm-hmm.
because your marketing strategy just reveals itself.
Right.
Now this is my core competency. This is my message. This is where I need to be. This is where my customers are. The marketing strategy just kind of almost writes itself.
Right.
And then you'll know, should I blog?
Right.
Now, having said that, there are lots of powerful reasons to blog, a lot of tangible reasons to blog, even if nobody reads the thing,
mm-hmm.
just for search engine optimization, for repurposing that content into other places on the social web,
right.
or in white papers, or for sales presentations, for marketing materials, for creating a voice of authority, for just narrowing your point of view and getting clear on things. So, there are lots of advantages to blog, but I never, ever go into a company and tell them they should do something.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's very arrogant because these are people who usually are very bright,
mm-hmm.
been in the business for a long time. They're the experts.
Right.
And I need to be humble and listen to them. And not, I rarely ever pontificate and say, you need to do this. What I do say is, let's start with research and figure out where are the opportunities. I've got one customer I've been working with for 3 years. And there's so much low-hanging fruit on other marketing areas, we haven't even gotten into social media yet. So, it just depends on the company, culture, the market, and where they're going to find their competitive advantage.
Sure. I'm going to pause for just a second. Are you having some video issues? I know I'm having trouble with you.
Yeah, I'm saying something. I need to turn off. I think I've got let me just close out on my something here.
Okay.
I've got nothing. It doesn't look like I've got anything else running.
Yeah, I'll double check on my end too. I'll stop this for just a second. We'll pick